Hi, everybody. Welcome. Thank you all. Hi, thank you all for being here. Mr. Lewis, thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to meet with us.
Mhm.
I'm going to go ahead and introduce myself. I want to start with just introductions of everybody. My name is Miss Feliciano, and I am Jesus's counselor.
My name is Mr. Dominguez, and I'm the assistant principal.
I am Mrs. Hammond. I am Jesus's core subjects teacher.
All right. Nice to meet you all.
Yes,
Nice
hi.
meeting you.
All right, so the purpose of this meeting is we wanted to just kind of get together as a team to just discuss Jesus, where he's currently at right now. We're 3 weeks into the school year, so we kind of want to just get together and discuss any ways that we feel that we can support him and make plans for support for him so that we can do what we can for him to have a successful school year. He's in middle school now, so we want to just kind of, like I said, work together as a team to do everything we can to provide him any support that he may need at this time. So I want to go ahead and start by asking Mr. Lewis, can you go ahead and tell us what are some of Jesus's strengths?
Well, I feel that Jesus is definitely strong in the social realm. He has many friends, and outside of school, I know he's always, at another friend's house, so I'm not necessarily worried about that. But I've also noticed that he can be a little thoughtful sometimes, as much to a degree where, he becomes a little too thoughtful and might, become like, I guess, oblivious to his surroundings, which can be a little concerning. So I guess I would say that, yeah, other than that, he's a hard worker and, he likes to do a good job.
All right, thank you so much. Mrs. Hammond, would you like to share some of Jesus's strengths that you've observed?
Yeah. Boy. Jesus has really good attendance. He's not one of the students in my class that's often late or missing at all. So that's works out really well for him. And to testify to Mr. Lewis's comment, he doesn't seem to struggle with peer relationships. So it's evident in my class that he does have some friends. So his social skills seem pretty intact.
Hey, thank you so much, Mrs. Hammond. Mr. Dominguez, and the time you've spent with Jesus, what are some strengths of his that you've observed?
Yeah, so I've gotten to know him pretty good now. And I'd like to kind of piggyback off of his dad. He is social. He gets along well with me.
Mhm.
And the hardworking part, he wants to get the job done right. So whenever we put him to do tasks right here, I've noticed that he listens well when we show him how to do the task. He does that pretty well. Definitely follows instructions when we're giving it, have given them to him, and he follows them pretty good in here in the office.
Mhm.
Obviously, the issue is in the classroom.
Okay, well, thank you for sharing. And I myself have observed, I've talked to Jesus, and you're right. He's a very kind. He seems very kind, and he seems very open. He was pretty open with me when I talked to him. He was a little bit shy at first, but once he got to know me a little bit and felt comfortable, he seemed to really like the attention. I think like he liked that. Like that, just to talk, and he liked having someone that was listening to him. And so he does seem like he is a pretty friendly and social kid. So now what I'd like to kind of hear now are areas of concern. So I wanted to start first. I'd actually like to start with you, Mr. Lewis. What are some concerns that you wouldn't mind sharing with us that you have about Jesus?
Yeah, so like I mentioned earlier, he is can be a little too thoughtful to where it becomes like to a fault. But as well, it's kind of accompanied by mistakes that he may make that are, preventable mistakes that, something he would know better than to make. And as well, he also has a tendency to interrupt conversations and not necessarily wait until maybe me or his mother are finished speaking to him. He'll cut us off and say, yeah, yeah, or I know, stuff like that, which is kind of concerning for us as he gets older, because we're expecting a higher level of maturity from him, and when we're not really seeing that development to the degree that we wish we could. So I would say those are predominant concerns. And I would also like to include, before I forget, that they've become such a concern. We've actually considered going to his doctor and kind of maybe possibly getting a test for him to see maybe if he has something along the lines of some sort of attention deficiency. I'm not sure, but we just don't know.
Okay, so you're considering having that discussion with his doctor. Okay, so Mrs. Hammond, what are some concerns that you have regarding Jesus right now?
Well, we're 3 weeks into the school year, right? And here we are. We're having to meet because Jesus's classroom behavior is concerning on a daily basis at this point. So I've exhausted a lot of my resources, referring him up to our assistant principal, Mr. Dominguez, sending him out of class, sending him next door to our neighbor classroom to see if maybe he performs better in there. And my concern is that at this point, it's disrupting the entire class because I'm spending so much time trying to regain Jesus's attention and focus. So not only are his academics hindered, but now the rest of the class is. So my thought is, maybe this isn't the class for him. Maybe there's a class with more support, or a class that has less of his peers in it, and maybe he will focus better. I don't really know. I'm trying to keep it together at this point, but it's tough. It's been tough for us in this class.
So Mrs. Hammond, when you're talking about how you say that it's starting to disrupt the whole class, what specific behaviors are you seeing out of Jesus?
Well, I've seen a little bit of everything. He takes advantage of bathroom passes, so it seems like he always wants to get out of the class, go for a walk. Half the time I'm wondering if he even really needs to use the restroom. We had to change up our whole pencil sharpening process for the class. Now I sharpen all the pencils in the beginning of the day because Jesus wanted to get up, every 60 seconds to resharpen his pencil. And then I'm on my third seating chart this year, trying to figure out a good spot for Jesus, but I also don't want to single him out and just sit him by himself, because a lot of my classroom curriculum is in groups. So it's important that all the students are in a group setting. So he's often talking to his peers. Even when everyone is quiet, Jesus will find a way to start talking to someone and distract them from their academics. So there's a lot going on at all times.
Okay, and you mentioned the strategies that you've tried so far for that have been, I know you mentioned that you send him out of the classroom, or does he ask to leave, or it becomes too disruptive and you send him out?
Well, initially he was already out. He was going to the bathroom, or I needed to refer him up to Mr. Dominguez's office because he was too energetic for the classroom setting in that time. So at this point, I don't know what else I can give without continuing to take away from the other 26 students I have in my class. So I'm hoping that's what we can figure out today. Because, there's class tomorrow, and, Jesus will be there, and we need to figure out a solution for him being on task, him wanting to be on task, so everyone can focus as a whole.
Okay, thank you for sharing, Mrs. Hammond. And so Mr. Dominguez, so Jesus has been sent to you on several occasions so far. could you share a little bit about that? What happens when he comes to you or when he gets sent to you? If you can just kind of describe.
So basically, when he just comes to me, he just says either the teacher kicked him out, that he didn't do anything, um, you know, kind of the same thing, a little back and forth. He didn't do this, he didn't do that. Um, but I'm gonna side with the teacher. If she's telling me that he's doing such and such, I have to take her word for it. So, kind of going on the areas of concern, my concern is that if this behavior continues to become disruptive or more disruptive, I have to do my job as I'm in charge of discipline. So it's going to be leading to suspensions. And then if that escalates, because it seems that he does talk back with her, is disruptive sometimes, asking for bathroom passes and all that. Just that's not what we're trying to do. We're not trying to have the classroom get disrupted just by one student. So again, if that behavior continues to escalate, then we will have to take more excessive measures, or that's the only thing that we just want to prevent from happening.
Okay. And
I appreciate the support, Mr. Dominguez. It means a lot. I feel like I've been a one-man show these 3 weeks, and now my neighbor classroom is realizing too that, Jesus needs some immediate assistance for the classroom setting. So thank you.
You're
so,
welcome.
Mr. Dominguez, would you mind sharing, have you, when he's in the office, he gets sent to the office and you have that discussion with him, does he eventually go back to class? Do you send him back to class, or is there something else that, what do you guys have him work in the office? What exactly happens at that point?
Yeah, so we wait until his next period because we don't want it to become more of a problem. We don't want her to think that we are ignoring her and, just kind of saying, no, we don't want to deal with the kid here, go back, she's wrong, or whatever the case is. We don't want to do that. We don't want to give that impression out to her. So we keep him in the office. Typically, we check to see if he has any unfinished assignments, any assignments that he has to complete. If we get the opportunity and we get the chance to do so, we will help him with them. But if not, if he doesn't have that, then we put him to take out the Connect Fours, the chess pieces that we have outside for all the kids so they can use. We also have trash cans that he can take out. So, because obviously COVID, we had to have a trash can everywhere. And then he'll even help out the people in the office, say organizing papers, in the library, laminating books, whatever the case is. We try to keep him busy. We just don't want him sitting around not doing anything. We try to keep him busy, and it seemed to work pretty good. He seems to respond to that pretty good. I know he likes to come with me. I'm not sure if that's why he likes to get kicked out. He does enjoy talking with me, but still, we can't be having him disrupt class. So that is essentially why we're here. We're trying to figure out a solution.
All right. Well, thanks for sharing it. It almost sounds like it could be rewarding for him to be up there with you or in the office, or these tasks that you're having him do. You're saying he does it pretty willingly, and it seems to work for him or be helpful. He doesn't ever have a negative attitude about doing anything like that.
No, but the thing is, the reason he's in there is because of his behavior is disruptive in the classroom. So I'm thinking maybe, and I've kind of mentioned it, maybe we can do something along the lines of him being an office TA where he can earn it. I'm not sure exactly how he can earn it, but that's just something it's kind of a thought. So I'm just thinking he can earn it, but he would report to me, directly to me. He comes to me, he checks in with me, checks out with me. If I see that his behavior starts to become disruptive in the office, then things are going to get a little more complicated for him, because he is disregarding or disrupting or just not following orders with the assistant principal. That's kind of something that I had in mind that I've been thinking about when this idea of the meeting got brought up. Because I do notice that he seems to work well with me. He listens to me and he follows my directions, my orders. So that's maybe something that we can try to push for. Just a matter of everyone being on board with that and getting more detailed about it, seeing how he can earn it, how he can go about it. Maybe the last 15 minutes of class, maybe it can be an elective class for him instead, you know? We'll take a role for him, we'll do all that.
Mr.
Okay.
Dominguez, it sounds like Jesus wants you to be his teacher. I'll email you the lesson plan every morning and
Yes, unfortunately, I am a little busy to take him on for the whole day or just the whole class period, but
well,
seems that he does connect well with me.
Well, Mrs. Hammond, I think this sounds like something that we might be able, that this might be a good start, actually, if we can perhaps start him on some sort of an incentive-based system where he has to earn that time. He has to earn that privilege. Because it sounds like he's getting out of class, and these behaviors are getting him out of class, whether it's because he can't control himself, if that's the case, because he just can't control his level of, maybe there's some hyperactivity going on, or is it because we don't know. We have to determine, is he struggling with the work and he's trying to escape it, and that's his way of escaping it. And it sounds like the escape, even though he's being sent to the office and it appears that he's getting in trouble, it might actually be rewarding for him to be sent out of class, because it sounds like he's really enjoys doing what he does in the office once he gets that work done that you require of him. So maybe we can turn this around and say, you have to earn this, that this is a privilege that you can earn, where you have this, you can be this office TA, and you can be this helper, this outside PE helper, or whatever the case may be. And we can monitor his behavior daily, and he has to earn it.
okay, but this is middle school, so are we, do I have to make him a chart or more tasks for my day? I'm trying to steer away from less things I need, to do for Jesus in that moment. I mean,
I
because
understand that.
Recently he's been transitioned to a math support group, which I heard he's been doing well. So maybe Jesus just needs a whole new setting, smaller class size, more one-on-one support. So do we have any of that here? I mean, we got to at this point.
Well, some options that we do have, and some options that we do have for that, we can't just automatically put him in an alternative setting. There are steps that we have to take, and we have to rule out several factors, and we also have to try putting some interventions in place before.
What are the steps? Because I feel like I've been trying. I've made referrals. I've contacted you, his counselor. I've contacted the principal. I've contacted my next door teacher. So you mentioned steps. What steps would we need to take for a different classroom setting all around?
I'm curious as well.
So we can start right now he's getting that math support, right? He's in that math support class where he's in a small
low-level reading group too. So
and he's in a low-level reading group. So why don't we go ahead and we can make a referral to our intervention specialist.
Okay.
And we'll make a referral to her and see if there are any other academic areas of need that he might have that perhaps he is actually struggling in, that we have not caught yet. Because like I said, we're already 3 weeks into the school year. We're only 3 weeks into the school year, pardon me. And so it's possible that he is struggling maybe more than we realize. And so we'll refer him to our intervention specialist, and we can start that process. But
will he take a test with her to figure out, or is the intervention specialist coming to my classroom to give him support, or am I sending him?
she'll probably start the process by just by testing his academics.
A placement test?
Yeah, and if see how he scores on that and see if there is support that she can provide. And it would be like at a tier 2 level of support. So if you're not familiar with that, Lewis, tier 2 level would be more like pulling him for small group instruction, like what he's already getting for math. And he's probably already getting that for math because he probably was getting that. Now, was he getting that kind of math support previously before he transitioned into 6th grade?
I believe he was, yeah.
Okay.
Because he
Okay.
was
So
lower as far as that goes, yeah.
with math. Okay. So we can refer to her and see what she determines. And that can be one step that we take. And then we'll see if maybe, like I said, he does need that extra academic support where he could be pulled for a small group. Now, as far as the behavior goes, and I know you mentioned that, and I understand your teachers are busy, right? You have a lot of classes to teach and you have a lot of students. It's the beginning of the school year. And I don't want to put a whole other task on your plate. So, and he's also in 6th grade now, he's in middle school. So we want to also teach him responsibility. And so let's see if he can maybe self-monitor. We can have him self-monitor some of the behaviors that we want him to see in class. And we can give him we have what's called like a little, like a motivator where it kind of alerts him, and it'll just be something very small. And it's like almost like a pager, like it looks like a little, and it'll be on a timer and it'll buzz. It'll buzz at intervals that we want it to buzz, and he can keep his own log and self-monitor. And when it buzzes, it'll be subtle and it'll remind him that he needs to monitor his behavior and check whether he's on task or not. What are those expectations? And he'll do it himself. And then at the end of the class period, all the teacher has to do is check and initial it, that he'll check out with the teacher and initial whether or not he was honest or not. And I can have that conversation with him about how this will work for him. And like I said, it's not you that has to constantly be marking a sheet or whatever it is. And he's in 6th grade now. So we're, he's a little beyond that, right? So
I mean, so the buzzer, is it going to interrupt the class every 3 minutes? What's the buzzer? Is it a noise? Is it?
No, and we don't have to use it. I mean, if he's able to actually monitor the time on his own and know that every 15 minutes or every 10 minutes he's going to check off, am I on task? Am I doing my work? Am I talking out of turn? He's going to check that off. If he's able to monitor the time on his own, whether he wears a watch, I don't know if he wears a watch, he can, yeah.
Cell phone on him. So I don't want him to utilize this as an opportunity. Oh, I'm just checking the time on my phone. So that's
which is why we should give him, I totally recommend giving him the little timer.
Okay.
The little handheld pocket timer, because that way it's not a situation where he has an excuse to look at his phone. Okay. It has the sole purpose of timing those intervals, and it's not disruptive. It won't make noise or anything. And so it might be a start, because we need a way to have him earn this time, correct? So maybe he can use that. And if he, let's say, has 75% of the time he's been on task, we can't expect perfection right away when we're doing this. But for now, if he's, we can set that goal of like, if he's on task, not disruptive, not talking 75% of the time, he can earn that privilege of going to see Mr. Dominguez and Mr. Dominguez giving him that office helper task that he seems to really enjoy. Mm-hmm. How does everybody, any thoughts on that? Everybody think that sounds like a good plan?
Well, I'd like to chime in that I know Jesus really enjoys PE too. I mean, most kids do, but maybe, if this, I've never heard of it in my time, but self-monitor business works. Maybe one of his incentives could be also, if Mr. Dominguez is in a meeting or busy, he could, help out with PE, maybe be a PE TA sometimes. I don't know, at the end of the week.
How do you feel about that, Mr. Dominguez?
I like that because as she mentioned, there will be times where I'm busy. There's days where there's a lot of meetings. That can definitely be something that we can set up. I can talk to the PE teacher about it and mention it to them, even get them to be more familiar with Jesus. I do like that idea, and I do think that it's a thing that can be possibly arranged for him in the case that I'm not available or for whatever reason I'm somewhere else in a meeting or even talking with another student. I think that would be something that would be very good. I really like that suggestion.
Okay. All right. So it sounds like we have come up with some pretty good plans for the time being for Jesus that we can try and see if there's some improvement. So I just want to kind of review what we discussed here. So we're going to try this mentor support, right? Whether it be with Mr. Dominguez or the PE coach. And so we're gonna attempt to do that where he can earn that privilege via a self-monitoring system where he's going to monitor himself, and Mrs. Hammond, you will sign off on it at the end of the period. So we ensure his truthfulness.
I do have a question about that. Who's going to be monitoring the charts day after day? Is that going to go to you, his counselor, or is it starting tomorrow? Who's going to set it up? Because there's class
I
tomorrow.
recommend. Yeah, no, that's a very good question. So, well, I think that my suggestion is perhaps if he's going to be if he's going to be earning that with Mr. Dominguez, maybe that's something. If we have to determine, is he going to earn this privilege weekly? Is this something he's going to earn on a Friday, let's say? And if that's so, maybe at the end of the week, he has to report to Mr. Dominguez with his progress. And maybe Mr. Dominguez, if you have the time, you can even just do quick check-ins with him throughout the week. Like, hey, how's it going? How have you been doing? Don't forget, keep it up. And Friday, you get to do this. We can do it that way. And he has to hold on to them.
Yeah, I like that. And especially because you said checking in on him, I check on him basically every day. When I'm either there in the passing periods, during lunch, he will come around me sometimes. And I get to talk to him. So I can definitely check in with him and kind of like motivate him to want to be with me on Fridays. And I can definitely check in that self-monitoring chart for him. Since he is going to be coming to me, it's only right that I do it.
And that's probably who he'll want to show it to anyway, right? Because it sounds like he does like that attention. He likes that, so he's going to probably want to report it to you anyway. So that, I think, does that sound good, Mrs. Hammond?
Yeah. Are you going to come by the class tomorrow, maybe pull him out and present this chart to him, and we can just hopefully start something?
Yes, absolutely. Okay. So that was the next step I was going to get to was who's responsible. So I'll be responsible for that. I'll pull him from class tomorrow and I'll introduce it to him. I'll explain it to him and discuss what the plan is. I'll discuss that plan with him of what he'll be earning, and how he'll earn it, and just go over the basic goals. And if I'm clear, those goals, as we discussed earlier, should be that he's on task, right? And that he's not disruptive. Yeah. So being on task and so not talking, so he's quiet and on task. We can work with those two for now. I think we need to keep it pretty short and simple, right? Don't put too many demands on him for now. And and I'll discuss that with him tomorrow, and we can maybe start implementing that. And then the next step was that we discussed referring him to our intervention specialist to determine if maybe he might be in need of some additional academic support on top of what he's already getting. If there's maybe writing is a struggle for him or whatever it is, let's refer him to the intervention specialist and see how that goes. Now, Mr. Lewis, you mentioned that you wanted to discuss this with his doctor, correct? So you had some concerns. If if there anything significant, comes up related to, what we've discussed, feel free, if you wouldn't mind sharing any information that might be helpful for us to support him here at school.
Of course, because
Yeah.
totally would impact his academics, I presume. So
Yeah,
any,
if there's something relevant that would impact his academic achievement or behavior and success here at school, any information that you can provide us would be helpful.
of course,
And then, yeah, and we'll start him on the self-monitoring and refer him. And so we'll go ahead and start, begin these strategies and these plans for about the next 6 weeks, and then we'll re-meet. I'll set up a meeting and we'll reach out to everyone for availability, and we'll meet again and we'll discuss, what any progress he's made, and we'll see where he's at that point. At that point, he'll be like 9 weeks into school. So is everybody in agreement with these plans?
I'm in agreement.
I'm in agreement.
Yes. All right, Mrs. Hammond.
Sounds good. And Mr. Lewis, I'd like to say that I don't mean to speak negatively about, Jesus, but, we've been teachers for a long time. We know students tend to act differently at home than they do in the classroom. So hopefully 6 weeks from now, he's fully transitioned into being a capable middle school student.
I understand. So I know he can be a handful sometimes, and he does like to garner a lot of attention. So
Yeah. So
I can understand where you're coming from.
Well, thank you everyone for being here. Thank you so much. I know everyone has such a busy schedule, so thank you, Mr. Lewis, so much, and Mrs. Hammond and Mr. Dominguez for taking this time to do what we can to support Jesus. So let's hope that as a team we can really help him have a successful school year. So we will meet again in 6 weeks, and I took notes on this meeting, so we'll go ahead and have those typed out, and I'll send a copy to you all so that you guys have a sign, and we'll sign and have a copy of that. So thank you.
Thank you.
All right, if there are no other questions, yeah, thank you.